Hello, this is Rick Wise. This is another Coffee and Conquest. And today we're talking about fixing the phones, or as we call it, Strive for Five. Now, this is something that we've been doing in the Atlanta district, and it has filtered out to our zone. So what is it that we're doing? We're fixing the phones so that every consumer, customer, prospect, whatever you want to call them, calls into your dealership, the call gets picked up. We talk to them. What a novel concept, right? We transfer them to the right department. And it's something we should be doing. And if we're not, it's something we need to look at. Here's something from, I guess it's March X, but it's from Auto Service World back in November of last year, or actually more than that, 2019. They say that 54% of calls to the dealership are going in to schedule an appointment, and these customers are quick to move on if they don't get what they need at their first try, their first attempt. I say first or sixth try because if you listen to the calls, I'm hearing 4, 5, 6 attempts to get in touch with our service departments. They say 68% of these callers, they'll just give up. They'll move somewhere else. And we're seeing that as well. Maybe not quite so much, but we are indeed seeing that. So our service customers, our service retention is dependent on our ability to pick up the calls. Marchex states on average, this is what they're stating, that an average dealership is losing about $108,000 in revenue per location. Now, remember, this is a couple of years ago. If you've been with any of our meetings recently in the last month and a half, you'll see that on average, it's greater than that number. And I will even say we're looking at gross profit versus revenue. So in other words, there is a lot of money being left on the table. So what's the fix? You know, I did some checking into this, and there's a lot of different services that are out there, a lot of different opinions, but they all kind of transfer to the same thing, and that is pick up the phone. It's that easy. And believe it or not, we're not doing that. And if we have to transfer or route that caller, let's route them to the right department the first time. And again, it's surprising how often that's not happening. Let's interact with the caller. Let's stop placing them on hold, sending them back to transfer to somebody else that no one picks up and they get a voicemail. Let's own the conversation with this caller. I don't even care if it's a janitor, but let's get their name and number and say, we'll get you in touch with the right person. They'll call you back. Let's don't send them into the IVR system only to get lost. And there's enough getting lost. Get this. There's enough getting lost that we're leaving money on the table. We're pissing off consumers, and they're going somewhere else. How often do you listen to your own failed calls? Do you do it once a day, once a month, or do you assign it to somebody else who tells you they're doing it, but they're not? Back in 2017, it was stated that 19.4% of our calls are failed. In other words, a 19% failed call rate. And I would have to believe that. 10.4% resulted in consumers abandoning a call during an automated routing process. Well, we hear a lot of that still now. We lose them during the transfer. We lose them in the whole process. And a lot of them don't even leave a voicemail anymore. Why should they? Because in a lot of cases, we don't return those calls. You know, during this particular survey, it said that 10% of these calls are sales opportunities, which means, does this really mean that 90% of the calls, the other calls, are really service opportunities? When you listen to your failed calls, you know that most of them do go into service. And what happens? They're placed on hold. They're actually hung up on. They get transferred back and forth to certain extensions, and very rarely do they get a chance to talk to someone. That's the average that's happening out there. We want to fix this. So how do we fix this? At least, why don't we check all our phone numbers and make sure they're going to the right departments or to the right whoever the right person is or right institution? And that's an in-house audit. Let's do that once a quarter. Let's verify our voicemail messages. Let's update the message. Let's have a little bit of excitement in there. Let's have some verbiage to remind the caller, don't hang up and call again. Just do leave a message and we'll respond to you within 30 minutes. Is it so hard to respond to someone within 30 minutes? Let's review our abandoned calls and call those people back on the same day. Let's monitor this stuff in real time with an alert system. And yes, you do have access to an alert system. So if there's a failed call, you can get a text message. Technology is wonderful, right? I say, assign a phone champion. I've been saying that for 3 years now. So if you don't have one, get one today and let the phone champion listen to the previous day's failed calls and report to the department heads. Make sure that the phone champion has the ability to make changes. Confirm within the organization the first point of contact for each number that you have. So when someone calls that number, who is it they're supposed to be getting in touch with? And let's make sure that happens. If you have a computer system, an IVR system, it goes on and on and on. Press this button, do this extension. Thank you for calling. Here's the history of our company. Cut that stuff out and make it short and sweet. And do not, please do not put someone on hold or transfer them just to another extension as a hot potato item. Oh, it's not my call. Good. Push the button here. I'll transfer you the parts. I'll transfer you to international relations. No, hang on to the call. Do a soft transfer if you have to do the transfer, but find out what the caller wants. Take a name and number. Say the right person's going to call them back, or handle it yourself. And if you're going to use voicemail, and I recommend that you do use it as a stopgap, update the messages and return the messages every 30 minutes. And I'd strive to get our failed call trends at 5% or less. There's really not an excuse to be over 5%. Every person who's listening to this, I'm sure you've called your bank or call another institution or call for your cable or whatever it is, and you get tired of being placed on hold. And you get tired of talking to someone and they say, oh, wrong department, let me transfer you somewhere else. If you're tired of that and you don't like it in your personal life, why are we doing it at our dealerships? We're better than that, right? The whole idea here is to leverage our services, my services, all the services are available to you right now to get your failed call rate at 5% or less. We are a phone call away, we're a text message away, email away, and we're doing a pretty darn good job of this if we work as a team. Currently right now, our zone, our southeast zone is running at a 7% failed call rate. That's an average with counting all of our stores. The Atlanta district, which happens to have one of the highest call volumes of any district in the United States, is currently at 6%. So we've made some strong changes, and we can do that with your rooftop, with your team, if we work together. So what's next? Reach out to us. Let's work together. Let's assign a phone champion if you don't have one already. Let's streamline your IVR system, make it short and sweet. Let's pick up the phone 100% of the time, and I do mean that 100% of the time. And if a phone call comes in, it needs to be picked up in 3 rings or less. It really does. And don't place someone on an extended hold. I know we don't want to, but that's what happens. Take a name and number and promise to call them back with the answer, with the results of what they're wanting within 30 minutes. And if we must transfer, let's do a soft transfer. Think about this. If you have any interest in doing this, then reach out to me. I'm here to assist. I'm here to help, and we'll do this as a team effort. Thank you for listening today. Again, this is another Coffee and Conquest. And as I always say, go out and make it a great day. Thanks.